Alright, hey guys, what's up? Root here. It's been a while. I've been yelled at a lot about it. I know. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to create um, a tiny little basic web dashboard. It's not going to look pretty. It's not supposed to look pretty. This is supposed to show you how to implement, you know, something on one end and have it work on the other end. Right now, in a later video, I'll show you how to consolidate this a little bit into a smaller. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I just finished this. So what it's gonna do is this, and let me. So all it's gonna be is just this. Refresh page. So you just put in a command, you put in the response you want. So let's say, "Hello, world." Bye. And click create. Then go into Discord and do here, let me try this again. Let me do something better. Easy. Create. Forgot to turn the thing on. My bad. Okay. So you do easy. Bye. Burn. And as we can see here, people are spamming it. You just type in easy, and it'll respond with @root. Bye. Easy enough. You can see the people. I told them I'm recording, and they're going like, "Hey." There's the invite link. I'll put it in the description below. It's actually really easy to do this. I'm going to be showing you how to use it with a framework, a web framework called Vue.js. It's what I'm using to build my websites, and the reason I'm using it is because it's really easy to use. It's highly flexible, and it's a lot better learning curve than with something like, what's its name? Angular. And the only caveat is that there is no backend. So what you can do, just if you want to go into this, this is not what I'm doing in the video, but you can do server-side rendering with Vue.js and have Express, or you can do what I'm going to show you in this video and have the server-side go off, and then have an Express server going on with the bot, and doing that. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to do is you want to go ahead and get MongoD going. And if you don't know what that is, how to do that, you just you go into can't remember its name for some reason. You go you go ahead and download it, and then you go create a file at c:\data\db. Just make that, and then you come to this link here, and whatever your version is, and type in MongoD, and it'll start up a Mongo database server, and that is going to be the only thing that I'm not going to show you to do, because it's fairly easy to just Google it. So let's begin, shall we? So first thing you want to go ahead and do is make a command prompt. I'm just going to close up this and this, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my directory where I'm going to create the program. And what you're going to need to do here is you're going to need to use the Vue CLI, and it's really easy to install. All you do is just npm install Vue-CLI. That's it. And then once you install that, we're gonna create a project, and we do that by doing using the command line. I mean, it is command line interface, but we're going to be going ahead and using the little string to make the project, and it's really easy. You do view, init, template, and name. And template is we're going to be using Webpack on Vue's website, which I'll link in the description. It has just a bunch of different types of templates. One where it's just completely empty. Another one where it is with Browserify, and another one with Webpack. And we're going to be using Webpack. And there's different variations for each one. And let's just name this Discord Dashboard. Just going to go ahead and download the template. Project name, it needs to be, if I just hit enter for default, I have to put in just Discord Dashboard with all lowercase. Project description, don't care, just keep clicking enter until you get all the way through. And then the next thing we do is we go to cd into the directory, type npm install, and it'll go ahead and install all the dependencies it needs. So I'm just going to let it run that. Just so you know how long it is, I'll probably leave this in there. Also, I'm a bit lazy and don't want to edit it. But, I might as well go over the reasons why I'm choosing to use Vue. Again, like I stated earlier, as a much easier learning curve. It's just much more portable and lightweight. If you look at the sizes that Vue has compared to React or Angular, Vue has only, when compressed, is only 44 kilobytes about, while Angular is up to upwards of 140 kilobytes. So that gets you a lot faster, since there's a lot less code to run. Another reason is I tried Angular, and I just didn't like it. It forces you into a certain path, while with Vue, you can be much more dynamic and flexible. And you'll see once we get this Webpack, this is a whole starter case. I'm not going to be showing you too much about Vue. If you guys want, just join the Discord. Or comment in the section below saying you want a Vue tutorial. I mean, it's not too difficult. It's really fairly simple. The biggest pain about it apparently is just waiting for it to install everything. But I still strongly believe that Vue is a better choice than Angular, as much as people think that Vue's just stupid, it's not popular, it's not going to be supported very long. It's actually surprisingly promised recently. If you look at things concerning it, it's been rising extremely quickly in the top most used. About 80% of the people who use it said that they would use it again, while only 30% of people would say that they would use it again for Angular. Alright, and now that we have this running, we're just going to quickly open up a new VS Code. Oh, I cannot remember the command. Anyways, it is just code.net. So now that we opened up a new VS Code thing here, I'm going to show you. So we have different pieces. So here, as you can see, we have build. This is for where everything gets built. You're not going to have to ever worry about any of this stuff unless you're getting like deep into it. So just don't worry about this this folder. Don't worry about config either too much. It's just, as you can probably tell, it's configs. Node modules, you'd never care about that. Source, this is where we're going to be doing a lot of programming. Static, just things that don't change, like that gatekeep. You don't need to worry about this. Or /test. But there's also index.html. So just a quick rundown of how Jax. Worst timing. What was he saying? Oh, so let's go through a quick rundown of how Vue actually works, and then we'll get right into it. So here we have our source file, and in here we have assets, and this is where we put like in things like pictures that we're going to want to have access to later on. Then we have components, and components are just files that end with .vue, and in each component you have three main parts: template, script, and an optional style. And we'll get into these in just a second. Then we have router, which we can use, and this just allows us to choose a path and determine which component will get viewed. And this is useful for single page applications, which I can do a tutorial later on, as I am currently also making single page applications. And then we have main.js, and this is going to be the initial file that's loaded up when you first run Vue. And as you can see here, we're importing Vue. We're importing the app here to run with just this. And then we're also importing a router. And so what's happening here is we're creating a new Vue app. We're choosing the element, and if you know regular web development, this means ID, and this is app. This is just importing the router to make sure it has access to it in this app. This is choosing the template that's going to have, and this is going to be the components for this application, for this new Vue instance. And all of this is pointing to index.html. So you can see here is we have regular, just regular HTML. But then we also have div ID equals app, and this is what it's pointing to, where it will, as it says, built files will be injected into by Vue. So this points to this, where it will then set up this information. And since this is the template, it's going to run, and this is the component, it's going to run app.vue. And here we can see this is the HTML that will be inserted. We have div ID equals app, just an image, and div, and then we have the router view. And as we can see here, we have this thing, export default, name app, and then style, which is just regular CSS. But what this is doing here is every time you have like one of these things, you're going to have export default, and this is where you're going to, I'll show you in just a second, but this is going to be where you're going to load up all the information to be rendered. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I can do a much more comprehensive tutorial on Vue later if you guys want and you like it. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and show you the basics. This is just what I'm choosing to show you, to branch you out. You don't necessarily have to use this. You could very well do this in PHP, because the back end is where the Discord bot parts, and implementing that with the with an API is where the main content will really be. This is just to show you how using a JS framework for this can be easier, and one that I like because it makes my life easier. So one thing we're going to need to quickly install is we're going to need to install npm install Axios, and this is just going to be our Ajax. So easy, just npm install Axios -s save. That's it. And if you want to see this default application build, you can do npm run dev, and like pass it off to the side. It's just going to build the modules and build everything, and then tell you if your application is running here. So, as we load it up, we can see, welcome to your Vue.js app. Central links, really easy. And that's all that's being shown up here. As you can see, if we bring this back up, it's just an image, which as we saw in index.html, but then this is the part that is in this hello world component. And if you know anything like Angular, it's got similar syntax. And then this information, this block here, is where the router piece was in app.vue. And that's what's being loaded up by router, saying it's pointing here. So this is the name, and this is the component we're going to send it. And you can see it's just importing everything from up there and using the router. So this gets loaded up. So for this, we're going to go ahead and delete everything inside this div. You can go ahead and mess around with the stuff. As you can see, we have data here, and then message, welcome to your Vue.js app, and you can see this here. And what this is saying is this is binding this to this. So if we change this, when we save, it'll automatically reload the web page, and it'll change this to that message because they're binded. But we are going to delete everything in there, and delete everything in style because we're not gonna bother with style. And if you're wondering, I'm going to be using some Vue2 snippets, Vue, and vtur, and these are going to be some of the things, and VS Code icons. These are the things that I have that I'm going to be using it during this tutorial. It's just some snippets to autocomplete some stuff. But the back end is going to be just really easy, or not the back end, the front end. So we're just going to create, and I'm going to actually start the server back up again. So our first goal here is we're gonna put input and just placeholder. Let's go to command. Oops, daisies, don't know what happened there. Let's copy that, paste that, and name this response. So now if we come over here, just saving it, we have two input text boxes. They don't do anything on their own, but we will get to that. How to make them do stuff So, what we need to make this work properly is we need to use something called directives. So what we can do here is in the input as an attribute, we can use directives, which is like v dash, and you'll see many of these things. So if you ever did Angular, it's like v4. This allows you to iterate the same thing multiple different times. For like an array list, if you pass an array list, so say message down here was an array, and we say v4 r in message, it go do this every single thing inside that array. And you can look at the API for everything else. But the thing we're going to be doing here is vModel, and we're going to model this to, for now, let's just say message. So what's going to happen is every time we do this, our message is going to dynamically change. And to prove that this is changing under the hood, this part is, let's just go ahead and rename this to command, and let's leave it empty. And let's also, while we're at it, add response. We can use this v-model thing to bind this to this. So we can also do that for this, to bind it to the same thing. So now both text box inputs are binded to the same thing. So if you come back over here, every time we type something here, it'll type it here. And every time we do something there, it'll show up in there, because they're binded to the same thing. So it means every time we update it, it's going to constantly change. So now what we're going to do is we want to add a method that'll post the data to our local server. And first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to install a quick Chrome extension. And I'll put a link to it in below. The reason we're going to need this allow origin is because we're running a server on our computer and as localhost, and we're running this web page. So if we try and send a request from the web page to the server, we're going to get denied by this security feature. It's important, but this will just allow us to override that, so we can still test everything just fine. But I'd suggest once you are done with this, you get rid of this, and once you push it to production. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a method. Now you may be wondering why it's specifically data here. And the reason for that is this is kind of like in Vue, it's a special keyword. Meaning if you do data, then these parentheses, and return this information, it's going to have access to that. It's designed specifically that way, so anything in here can be accessed in here. And it must be in here, or else it's going to be throwing all sorts of wonky errors, like if I delete script, you can see some. Or should see some. Maybe not. It was doing it earlier. But it'll be saying something like you're trying to render before the it's finished computing everything, or something like that. And that's just due to the way it works. It works with the virtual DOM, but you don't need to worry about that too much. So another keyword that will allow us to put methods is that you can probably guess methods, but we don't need this special syntax this time, because this is going to be this doesn't have to worry about data binding and all that stuff. That's what this is about. It's about the data binding and everything, and the rendering, but methods don't have to worry about that because they're called. So we're gonna do add command, and before I forget, we're gonna change this to response. So we're gonna add the function add command function, and we need to use this function notation. You can't use arrow notation, or else because the way the way the arrow function handles this, this points to the object, but if we use the arrow notation, it wouldn't be calling the object, so we wouldn't have access to the special data parameter. So we cannot use arrow notation here. It'd break the whole thing. And so now we're going to use Axios. Axios is really easy to use. It's just axios.post, and it's the URL, and my URL is http /192.168.4.62 :3000 server. And we're gonna send the information as body. So we can just do, let me beautify this selection real quick. It's bothering me. I don't know why it's automatically using twos. I don't understand it. It's just my editor's doing that. So anyways, this is going to be the body that we're sending. So we can just do command this.command, it'll point to this, and response this.response, and that's it. That's all we need to do for the to send the information over. Now we just need to finish up this front end part, so that when we click enter, or you know what, let's just do button, and we'll make this say create command. So now this is what it'll look like. We put in here and here, and we click create command. Nothing's gonna happen because we don't have this button set to do anything. So we can use one of Vue's events because Vue has event handling. So it's another directive. It's just Vue-on. But now we need to do colon and just click and type click. There's a ton of other ones. You can look them up in the API. Like I said, I'll link it below. But it's just basically Vue-on click. Just like that. And we need to make sure we put an if thing here. So we want to do add command. That's it. So when we click this button, it'll run add command, and it'll send the information over the server. So now we need to actually write the server. So we're going to need to go ahead and install a couple things first. These are just lint problems. Don't worry about those. We need to do npm install express discord.js body-parser MongoDB, and that's it. And click enter and install all these. I already have them all installed, so I'm not going to waste the time. But that's all you're going to need. Go ahead and run the dev thing again. Build some modules, and it's good to go. Front end's working. So now just back here, create index, or not index, server.js, and we're going to want to create another command prompt that just points to the same place. And that's so we can test server.js. So it's really easy. It's just do all our regular imports. I'm just gonna go ahead and copy piece and paste on my app side. Express. Just making an app. Discord. Grab the client from Discord. Require body parser. Grab the Mango client. And the last piece we're going to need here is the URL for MongoDB. And what this is it's just a URL that will pass to MongoDB, our client, so it can read it and figure out where to connect to. So we're just gonna, it's just easy, MongoDB, so the name of the database, :/localhost, :27017/mydb. And it's just like a URL, where instead of HTTPS, you have MongoDB, or WSS, or FTP, it's the same thing, then the add thing, and then the location, the thing, the address. Easy. So next we want our app to be able to use the body parser, so we can parse the information. So we're just going to do body parser dot JSON, and then app.use body parser dot URL encoded, and then extended true. And this just gives us access to more different types of encoding. But this will allow us to essentially just receive and decipher and use the request sent to us by our front end. So if you ever done app express.js before, it's just setting up the thing to post. So what we're going to do here is we want to set up a server, and so when we send a post request to the server will intercept it. So the way we intercept the post request to our thing is we type in app.post saying, hey, this is a post request that I want to intercept, we pass to the file. So as you noticed, if you remember back here, we did it to /server. So that's what we're gonna want to paste here, and it's just the location, kind of the file name. It's not really a file, but it's just the location. And then a function, request and response. And we're just want to create a little variable here, and we're going to save the body. So now that we have the parser, or not the parser, yeah, the parser deciphering the URL encoded, the encoded post request information in the body, we can just grab it like this. So we can just easily put it into the server. Well, to put in the server, to save memory, we're going to want to create the Mongo client and then connect and set this up. Or what we can do is we can just reconnect to the server every time and then close it. So it really depends on what you want. There's speed and then there's memory. I'm gonna go for I'm gonna be honest, I'm not putting the best programming practice in here. There are better ways to do this, but this just give you a brief introduction on ways to do this and how could you achieve it. And I will tell you the best ways to be able to do these things as I'm doing it. Even though I'm not doing the best way, I am going to go in the way of just reconnecting it every time, because it's just the easiest to show without any major complications getting in the way. What the best way to do is you put this app.post piece inside of the Mongo Connect, so that you don't have to keep reconnecting and you can just keep doing the same command. In fact, you know what, might as well do it. So we're going to grab our Mongo client, and we just want to connect to the database, and we're going to pass the URL we made. And it's just going to be a little easy callback, error, because error first notation, and then we're going to be connected to the database. And so we're almost all the way there. We just want to make sure if there's an error, we throw that error, because we want to make sure that nothing wrong goes on. So now we can go ahead and just copy and paste what we made before, our listener in there. So now what we have is everything that goes on in here, we can have access out here. So we can access the database from inside here. So we can easily just do now the database, and we're going to grab the collection. And I named my collection commands. This can be whatever you want. Dot insert 1, and we're just going to put in the post body, and that's it. Pretty easy, right? And if we want to make sure that we're getting the information, we can just console.log response, or actually, let's put it under here so we can just do the post body. So now what we're doing here is we're just connecting to Mongo client. If there's an error, make sure we throw that error. And if we're setting up a listener while we're in here now, once we're connected to the database, I want to create a listener. If there's a post request coming to here on my URL, I want to grab the post information, I'm going to log it, and then I'm going to insert it into the collection, this commands collection. And I'm going to show you how to create that commands collection real quick in a second. And we can go ahead and show that this is working by, if it is working, I don't think it will. Yeah, well, I need to go ahead and MongoDB. I forgot to save MongoDB in here. Let me just do this. MongoDB. Okay. While we're continuing, and let's just make sure we set up our app to listen on port 3000. Actually, you can do error notation here. And we'll just say app, or not app, server running on port 3000. Alright. So, yep, as we can see here, server's running port 3000, and I guess let's go ahead and do a quick check. Put in command there, see if it's going, if it's grabbing it. Doesn't look like it, and so this is a perfect chance to show you how do you properly debug. One of my favorite applications is Postman. And what this allows us to do is we can just, even if you just close these, you just get this, click this, you say I want to make a post request, then you put in the URL, so I want to send this post request to here, our local host. Set the body, let's make this hello world, and then send. So now what we can do is we can see that this clearly is not sending, so that means there's an error with our listening. And what that probably means is just it didn't get to that part. So let's try this. Ah, there we go. We got an error. We got a connection to localhost 7017. It timed out, meaning it didn't connect properly. MongoDB localhost 27017/mynidb. Why is it timing out? Cannot post /server. Interesting. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I think I know why I was doing it. Forgot to make it respond. Let's choose respond, not send. Hello. Let's see if that helps. Still cannot. Localhost colon 3000/server. So, yeah, it just looks like I'm not going to be able to properly DB is not defined. Forgot to call that out. So that didn't work, sadly, so we're gonna have to go with the other route. You can bug fix it on your own if you want, but we're just gonna take that and we'll just put it inside. Instead of wrapping the app.post inside of MongoDB, it's not reading properly, so we're gonna make sure we put the app.post outside of the Mongo client. Now what we're gonna want to do instead here is we're gonna add a function here, a callback. And we want to close this connection out so we preserve memory. Let's see if that works. Hello! There we go. And as we can see here, it properly printed out. Perfect. Everything's working now. You can figure out the other way is the best way. It will preserve connection. It'll make it faster. Because if you get a lot of people, you know, you're going to end up creating lots of different connections. It's not good. Which will also end up becoming a bit of a problem with memory. But this works for now on small scale. So this is my friend. So now all we need to do is make it so that every time someone puts a message, we can respond to it and see if it's in there. Again, this is not the best way to do it, but this time we can indeed just wrap the Discord inside of we can wrap the Discord.js bot inside of, or the messaging part inside of the client, so we don't have to keep destroying a session. So that makes it at least a bit better. One thing I should note is, I'll say it once we get on there. So we can get rid of this part. So as we're gonna do is, as if you've seen my previous videos, client.on message mess. That's pretty standard, and then we're gonna want to make sure that if the author is equal to this bot, just stop it there. We don't want to keep on going. And then what we want to do is we want to find what is this? What was that noise? Someone joined the Discord? Yep. Get that. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and go and grab from the collection. Commands again. And we're going to want to do find. Now, this was talking about, gonna say in a minute. What we want to do here is the most efficient way to be would be to insert to do a series of checks and insert the message, the prefix, breaking up into pieces, and putting the main command part into the find and seeing if it returns anything, and then if it does, then appropriately do that. For time's sake, this is a bit easier, but I challenge you to go through and do that on your own and make it so it's more efficient. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put an empty, so continue on, I should say. We're going to go ahead and put here a empty find, and this just means grab everything in the database. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to convert this to an array, and it's going to return an error and the result. Let's call back. And so what we're easily just what I'm going to do is if there's an error, as usual, throw that error. And otherwise, we're going to want to iterate through, because this is going to be a function. We can just use result.forEach. And I'm just going to put the element as E. And all this is saying is that go through each element in the array and for each element and make each element E. So this is going to be a single piece of the element, or not of the element, of the array, this element here. So say we have an array 1, 2, 3, and 4. E would it would be and this was on result is this array. For each number here, it'd run for each one of these pieces. So it'd be E would be equal to 1 at one instance, then 2, then 3, and 4, and it would run this code. It's just like a regular for statement. So what we're going to want to do here is we're just going to check if the message and the content of the message in lowercase is equal to e.command. Then reply with e.response. So all this is saying here is, let's go through this, the whole thing. Use the body parser, create a listener for /server at this place, and if this does get hit with a post request, grab the body information, then log it, then connect to the MongoDB, throw an error if there's an error, and we're passing it a URL parameter, and then grab the collection commands from this DB and insert the body, and then close the connection, and this can be done over and over again, and then just send hello back. And then what we're doing is we're creating another connection, and then every time someone types a message, if the message is equal to this bot, don't do anything. Otherwise, grab every single thing you can from collection and put it into an array, and then iterate everything in that array, and if a command is equal to what was said, just reply. So if we go ahead and run it, we'll see that that should be up and running. And then, oh god, I have so many of these up. We'll create a new command, say hello, and then it'll say goodbye. Timed out my MongoDB and that was before. Let's make sure that it's getting it. Error connecting. That does not sound good. Oh, one thing I also did forget to do is make sure we sign the bot in. I'm just gonna post this. I'll change this by the time. Yeah, you can try it, but this token's not gonna work anymore because this is for my main server bot here. That'll show up there. Not my main server bot, my main test bot. And another thing I forgot to mention is we need to quickly, before we do anything else, we need to create the collection. So I'll put this in the code. All this is saying is connect to the database, create the collection commands, and then disconnect. So let's go ahead and run that real quick. Let me restart my database. Apparently db.create collections is not a function. For some reason. My thing's all out of whack. Let's try reinstalling MongoDB. Don't know what's wrong with it. See, it's installed, and I saved it, so let's try this again. Node server.js. And then use the application we created, because that's running. Command, hello, goodbye, create command, There we get it. Let me see something real quick. You know what, I just realized I made a little spelling mistake there. Let's try this. That'll reload. And if we go ahead and reload this, hello, goodbye. Refresh this. Hello, goodbye. Can always see if it'll work. Oh my. Property or method add command is not defined in the instance. Okay, so that means we made a little mistake at our component. So let's see, what did we did? So return command response data v on click equals add command. So I made a spelling mistake across the board. That feels embarrassing. Hello. Bye. Axios is not defined. I know what I did wrong. I didn't. Apparently, my install didn't go through. So I'm just gonna do npm install axios -- save. Another thing is Vue has a really great Chrome extension that allows you to go through and pick everything apart. I think it's really neat. But yeah, I'm just looking at the errors right now because I made some personally really stupid errors. So let's just go ahead and start up the server again. Axios is not defined. Why isn't it defined? Did I not import it? Oh, I'm so stupid. That wasn't the issue. I forgot to import it, so we just need to import Axios from Axios, and this should solve the issue. Let's try this. Hello, goodbye. There we go. It got it, but now it's saying db.collection is not a function. I'm not sure why. Let's bring this back out. Okay, so this is now fixed in functioning. My bad. Now let's see why it's saying that Mongo why db is not a function. Alright, hey guys. So I figured out the issue. For some reason it wasn't pointing to the correct database when I was doing all these things. So all I did was I added var dbs equals db.db then mydb, because that's the connection that it's making to mydb. For some reason, not connecting correctly. I don't know why, but if you are encountering this issue like I am now, this looks like how it is the solution. So what you should be able to do now is it should insert that, and we can. I want to make sure that it just prints. So it should be inserting. So let's go back to the website. Create command. Check back at our thing here, and now it's not. So the log. Let's make sure it's just receiving. There we go. Command, hello, response, goodbye. Now if we did everything correctly here, dbs.collection command stuff find .toArray, and I want to just make sure console log result. This is how you debug, by the way. You console log everything, figure out where the point of error is. So let's see if we just type in this we can see multiple different things in this collection. So hello, hello, easy, esta, esta. So if I type hello, as you saw, hello is in there twice, but it'll so that's why it's printing twice. But say we add something only once, that's something that I was challenged to do, sanitizing photos. But hello world, and then now that's in there. We should be able to just come back here and type in hello world, and it'll say goodbye. Now, all this is saying, or not all this is saying, all this is doing is, it's a basic thing, but the premise is there. This is how you can, this is essentially just showing you how to make a little back-end API and connect that with the Discord bot, as well as connecting it with the front end with a JS framework. Alright, I hope you guys like this. If you ever need any help, I know this can be a bit confusing. I was struggling with it when I first came upon it yesterday. Feel free to join my Discord, which I will have in the description below. If you have any questions, put it in the description below, join the Discord. But thanks, guys. So I'll see you there. Have a good day.